Well, good morning, everyone. First off, thank you so much for being. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know it's early in the morning, and I know some of you had to deal with traffic, so I really appreciate you guys being here. And special thanks to the University of North Georgia for letting me come here to speak. But my name is Patrick Pickens, and I believe my slides should be up here or here. Okay, so we'll start. So as I said, I am co-owner and founder and CEO of HiQ Cosmetics, and it's pronounced HiQ. I guess that kind of looks like high K if you want to speak Spanish, but it's HiQ, it's not Hick. We get that a lot, so it's HiQ. But again, my name's Patrick Pickens, and I am co-owner and CEO of HiQ Cosmetics. And to tell you a little bit about me, I actually went to the University of North Georgia, and while at the University of North Georgia, I studied chemistry. I have my BS in chemistry with a minor in biology. And yes, I am a nerd. I love science, I love data, and that's what I'm all about. And so shortly after, while at University of North Georgia, I was a intro leader or freshman orientation leader for 3 years. I was also student government association president for 2 years. And so I actually was on the consolidation implementation committee. So when Gainesville State College and North Georgia College and State University merged and became the University of North Georgia, I was one of 2 or 3 students that were on the Consolidation Implementation Committee, and I actually worked with Dr. Bonita Jacobs, who's awesome. She's the president of the University of North Georgia, and learned a lot there. I think that really helped me with kind of becoming confident being in front of people, but as well as helped me with my leadership skills, and North Georgia has a really great way of fostering leadership and really taking people and really helping them grow to be what they want to be. So while also at the University of North Georgia, I did undergraduate research, and I'll get to that later, but I actually did undergraduate research with my now business partner, Carpenter, who I'll introduce a little bit later. But I was able to attend several scientific conferences throughout the US, and even had a trip to Nice, France, where I was able to present my research at a really cool place in Nice, France. If you ever go, Nice is the place to be. So after graduation, I worked at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I worked in the Natural Center for Environmental Health. And some of you may know the CDC from The Walking Dead. It is the place that actually blew up in The Walking Dead. But the place that blew up is actually not the CDC. It's the Cobb Energy Performing Arts Center. But here's proof that I actually did science. It's a horrible selfie that I took. And I'm actually not allowed to take photos at the CDC, but I'm such a rebel, I guess. I don't know. And so while at the CDC, I was in newborn screening. And so when a baby's born, they actually take the heel of the baby, they prick it, and then they take the blood and test it for different genetic disorders. And so my job at the CDC was to come up with all the quality control and proficiency testing materials that are sent out throughout the whole world. But I also came up with different scientific assays that test the blood for different genetic disorders. So I have 2 assays that are actually implemented throughout the whole world that I helped create, so that was really cool. And something that's even cooler about it is pretty much everyone here in this room had their heel pricked when they were a baby, and you probably just don't know about it. But that's kind of what it looks like, and then you test the blood, and they put it on these dried paper, and it's called a dried blood spot, and they test the blood for different genetic disorders, and they treat the babies or newborns if they have a genetic disorder. So while at the CDC, I was kind of going 2 different places all at once, and while at the CDC, we actually branded, launched, created, kind of everything all at the same time kind of came together, and we launched HiQ Cosmetics. So that was a really busy time. I'd go to work, I'd have to step outside and take phone calls, and I was doing phone calls over lunch, and that just kind of kept the ball rolling. When you start with a business, there's a lot of different moving parts, and for us, we do skincare. So you have different bottles that you have to get. you have to have different pump tops, and you have to source the ingredients, find the manufacturer, and kind of the list goes on. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but now I'm gonna embarrass Holly. Holly's actually here today, so I'm going to have her stand up because I think it's really important. She's kind of the other half of this whole thing, but this is Dr. Holly Carpenter. Give her a warm round of applause. And I'm really excited because she's actually going to come up here and finish the speech for me. No, not really. A little bit about Holly. Holly was actually a tenured professor at the University of North Georgia. She taught biochemistry, medicinal chemistry, and she was in the Department of Chemistry. And I did undergraduate research with Holly. And you can see that's a picture of Holly and I. That's actually a brochure that we send out in our packages. It's a great way to personalize a brand when you send out marketing materials. But here, 2 pictures of Holly and I. Holly and I have had the privilege to kind of travel the world a little bit, and it's been kind of great. So the top photo, which is actually to the top right, was in Ibiza, and then obviously that's San Francisco at the Golden Gate Bridge. And I hope these work. Okay, good. So we worked on a project funded by the Air Force Office of Scientific Research, and so I always like to show this because I think it's really cool. And that's an octopus, and it goes from completely camouflaged to an octopus, and it's really crazy. But we worked on a protein found in squid, and it's believed to be responsible for their unique camouflage properties. So we were doing fundamental scientific research on that protein. It's called reflectin, and yes, that's an octopus and not a squid. So to start off, I know a lot of people here may or may not use skincare or may not use makeup. So I want to clarify, skincare is not makeup. And it's kind of a battle we face when we go into the world of like beauty in general, is a lot of people think that we do makeup. We do not do makeup. Maybe eventually we will, but we do not do makeup. So skincare is moisturizer, facial serum, eye serum. It's not anything with pigments. So what you think of as makeup is like foundation, mascara, the list kind of goes on, blush. But we do preventative, and my whole philosophy and our saying at HiQ is that skincare is the best foundation. So our products were formulated by Holly and me. And we hand-selected every single ingredient found in our facial serum. There's nothing gimmicky, there's no filler ingredients, and to tell you a little bit more about why we launched HiQ Cosmetics is there's so many products out there that are in a brown bottle or a green bottle, and they have plants and leaves on it, and Holly and I tried all the products. We've used them all, and they're oily, they're horrible, you literally have to like put force into putting them on your face, and the results are just subpar. And so what we wanted to do is create a product that had luxury performance, but had luxury performance and results, but used all natural products. So we truly believe that nature is the best chemist. Both of us are chemists. Holly has her PhD from Emory University in chemistry, and it focuses on elastin and collagen peptides. And me at the CDC with a chemistry degree, we kind of paired together, and like I said, we hand-selected every single ingredient was selected by us. So this is a phenomenal photo of me looking very intrigued and this is actually in a kitchen where we were mixing up different ingredients so you start with skincare, you are basically in a kitchen with a mixer, and you are mixing this stuff, and you come up with the formulas. And then once you kind of have a formula you like, you send it off to a contract manufacturer who then scales up everything. So our contract manufacturer is actually in Riverside, California, and it uses entirely solar powered. And it's a really cool facility, and that's something that Holly and I felt really strong about is in order to be confident about selling something, you have to be confident about what you are selling. And so every single detail of our company is something that both of us stand by, and I can look every single one of you in the eye and say it is the best product on the market. And so that's a really big lesson that I would say if you're selling anything, and it doesn't have to be anything tangible, it just needs to be something that you can sell and you can feel confident about selling. Because if you're selling something that you think is a crappy product or is horrible, chances are you're not going to have the passion and love for it to really give it your all. And that's something that Holly and I can stand here with, is we put over 2 years of scientific research into creating our product, and because of that, we know it's the best stuff on the market, period. So we started our company and it launched officially in 2013, but our products went on the market in late 2015. And it all started with one product, which is our HiQ facial serum. So serum is a lightweight moisturizer that's very rich in nutrients and vitamins and is believed to penetrate further into the skin. And so we decided to launch with our HiQ facial serum because we felt like it was a product that was really, truly going to be different on the market. Our HiQ facial serum is the world's most potent CoQ10 facial serum out there, period. So it's a really unique product. CoQ10 is actually found in every single cell of the body, and it's responsible for bringing energy into the cells. And so it is an all-natural ingredient that delivers incredible results. And so this is our bottle. Our bottle is manufactured in Europe, and then our pump top is from Milan, Italy. And all of our products are paraben-free, non-GMO. We use organic ingredients where we can. Our products are vegan. We use recyclable ingredients. All of our marketing materials are printed with soy-based inks. Our carton is FSC certified, which is Forestry Stewardship Council, which is made from recycled tree pulp. And we are gluten-free, and then that symbol on the far right is the symbol for Leaping Bunny, and Leaping Bunny is for animals, for products that are not tested on animals. So that's something that we also felt very passionate about, of just making sure that we left an impact and a legacy in an industry that honestly needs to be updated. So majority of products in the skincare industry contain carcinogens and contain a lot of products that are horrible for the environment. And honestly, it's just an industry that needs to be updated, and Holly and I felt like we could be the people that innovate and bring something new into an industry. So while I was at the CDC, I would actually receive, it was 5 or 6 emails a week. And in every single one of those emails was an ingredient that was horrible for your health, horrible for your body, horrible for the environment. Those little microbeads that are found in a lot of body wash products, they actually have accumulated in Michigan, Lake Michigan, up near Michigan, and Lake Erie, and it's become a huge problem, and I believe New York has made it illegal to put them in products, and that's just one example. There's other ingredients that are directly linked to cancer. BPA, which is found in a lot of plastic products, is also really horrible. It accumulates in your body and actually affects fertility. So that's just a couple of examples, and to kind of back up a little bit, is Holly and I just wanted to have a product that was good for you, which everyone's like, why is your product different? And it's because it's good for you and it delivers results. So our first photo shoot was actually at the University of North Georgia's campus, and Paul Dunlap, who's a good friend of mine, actually took the photos, and our model, Julia Bork, actually attended University of North Georgia, and it's also a really good friend of mine. And here are some photos. These are the ones that Paul took. Julia has gone on to be a signed model, and I think she signed with 3 or 4 modeling agencies, and this was her first modeling gig. But I put this slide up mostly because I think in business, a lot of people make it all about themselves, and a lot of business owners choose to, where am I going to be that's going to be better for me? What's better for me? And something that Holly and I have felt really strongly about is our business is built through everyone else. We're not the best people out there at everything. There's no way you can be. And so we reach out to people that are better, that could make us stronger. And I think that's so important because so many people out there make it all about themselves. And really, businesses are built with your connections that you make with other people. And that's why we decided to go with Paul, and that's why we decided to go to Julia. We could hire a model that's signed and is incredibly famous, and yes, it'd be famous. Yes, it'd be really expensive, but that's something that we could do. But we felt strongly about helping those that had a dream and helping their dreams come true while they help our dreams come true. And that's so important. So our first really big break and launch of the company happened at Natural Products Expo East and West. They are the world's largest natural products and organic products expo in the entire world. It is seriously the coolest conference. You'll go, and I love Whole Foods. Whole Foods is like my happy place. I love seeing their produce section, and everything's like a perfect pyramid. I love that. But the reason I mention that is because Whole Foods buys all of their products from there. Everything you see in Whole Foods comes from basically Natural Products Expo East and West. And it is just row after row after row of vendors and food, natural beauty, home, vitamins, supplements, and the list just kind of keeps going and going. It is equivalent to probably the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport filled with vendors. It's that big, and that's how many people are actually there. And some little quick facts is there's over 1 million square feet of vendors, and to put that in perspective, the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I don't know if any of you have had the chance to go there, but it is 2 million square feet. So if you take half of that square feet, that's how many vendors are there. It's huge. And there's over 80,000 industry attendees and over 120 countries represented. And so we went to Natural Products Expo East in 2015, and we actually walked away with as the winner of Best New Beauty Product, and we were editor's choice. And so this gave us a lot of publicity. We had a lot of videos come out, and we had a lot of industry leaders start writing about us, and it really kind of ramped things up. We were able to get several vendors from this conference, and then as we went to the opposite conference, Expo West, that's where things really the ball started rolling. And so I wanted to show this too. We're really results driven, and something that Holly and I felt very uncomfortable about is before and after photos, and we had like long talks about before and after photos. We've all seen Rodan and Fields, and we've seen the before, which is like an 80-year-old person, and then the after, it's like 16 years old. And I hate to tell you this, but that's impossible. It doesn't happen. Your skin does not work like that. And I'm sure there's people that have phenomenal results, and Rodan and Fields is perfect for a lot of people. But Holly and I felt so uncomfortable about using before and after pictures because we thought they were so gimmicky, and honestly, I just think they're kind of stupid because you can photo alter them, you can Photoshop them, and I can have a before and after that looks completely different. But a lot of our vendors that we work with, the Four Seasons hotels, the Fig and Flower that's just down in the Highlands, as well as several other high-end boutiques and spas that we work with, constantly kept asking us for before and after photos. And so I put this slide up here because sometimes you don't want to do things that you think you should do, but you can do them the right way. And I don't know if that sounds right, but we did this in a way that felt comfortable to us because we were working with vendors that requested this because it helps them sell product, but we also put the disclaimer below it that there's no photo altering or Photoshop in this photo. And so the lighting here is not maybe the best to see the before and after, but if you go on our social media pages or website, it really is a big difference, and this is after 2 weeks of using our products, so pretty cool. And then I wanted to show you some more products, pictures of our products. Currently on the market, we have 2 products. We have our HiQ facial serum, which I told you about a little bit earlier, and then actually, I think it was on the 1st of September, we launched our HiQ eye serum. So that is specifically meant to target the under eye region of the eyes. It's great for anti-aging, it's great for firming. It really is great stuff. And so here's some other lifestyle photos, and other things about the company is we were featured in Modern Luxuries The Atlantan, and this is Holly and I pretending to be models in Modern Luxuries The Atlantan, and this is the actual published article that came out, and I don't know how they made us look so good, but it turned out really well. So that's some cool press that we got. And then these are some more social media photos that we have. And This is another piece of publicity that we got in Atlanta Magazine. Our HiQ facial serum is at a higher price point. It's at $125. And this whole article is about why it's worth the $125 investment. And this actually gave us a ton of business and a ton of orders because it helps to have this article is just written in a very realistic way that I think is really helpful to customers to justify spending $125. And then I have these slides which show we're in California in the Malibu Times, as well as in Modern Luxury's Jezebel here in Atlanta. And I mentioned this earlier, our eye serum launched on the 1st of September. And I guess this is another moment to teach you something, or advice that I have that I could pass on is when we were launching our eye serum, we did pre-orders. And our pre-orders started in August 1st, and we promised to have everything shipped by the end of August and to our customers. And unfortunately, due to Hurricane Irma or Hurricane Harvey, our shipment from California to Atlanta was delayed, and it did not arrive until the 1st of September. And so something that we are we feel so strongly about is that you should be really transparent with your customers, with the vendors that you work with, and honesty is really the key to everything in business. And we sent out an email explaining the whole situation, and we were like, if you want to return the order that you pre-ordered, we totally understand. We couldn't meet it, but unfortunately it's due to circumstances that we can't control. And we had like 5 or 6 customers come and write us emails that were like, this is so impressive, and we would love to order more. And so I tell you that because in business, honesty is the key to everything, and if you can just be transparent, it makes everyone happy. And so here is also a before and after of our eye serum, and I put that up. It also has a disclaimer, but I put this one up because I thought it looked better. Currently, Holly and I have more products formulated. We actually have 5+ products that are waiting to go on the market. And our next product will be our HiQ moisturizer, and hopefully that'll be out by the end of the year. And so the next part that I wanted to go into is my advice for all of you of what I've learned. And I want to start out with thinking, like, my advice is I'm not the most successful person out there by any means, and I'm very humbled to be in front of you even speaking today. And my advice is just what I've learned, and you can take it how you want to take it. But the first thing I'll say is, hate is gonna hate. And I tried to make these really entertaining because I know that it's super early. So there's a lot of GIF, however you say it. There's a lot of those in here, and I tried to make it a little bit more entertaining so all of you don't fall asleep. But hate is gonna hate. And the reason that I say that is because I cannot tell you how many people out there have told Holly and I that we are way too young to start a business. You will never make it in the skincare industry. You will never, ever, ever create a successful product. No one will ever like your product. No one will ever publish about you. No one will ever even order your product. Well, I'm here today to tell you and to tell all the haters that all of that has happened. And we've created a really great brand. We have a very loyal cult following. And that's some advice I just have, is just keep going. And you'll be told no, 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 no so many times, and you just gotta keep going and persevere. And I know that's like a funny thing of, I guess that's a llama, but that's kind of how my attitude towards those people are. And that brings me to the same point, which kind of goes on it, is no, 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 yes. And so in a nutshell, we have been told so many times no. So many vendors and so many people that we work with in business are like, no, 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 no. And I send email after email after email, and it's no, 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 no. And eventually, you'll get a yes. And you have to keep going and persevere, and you can't be annoying. And I know that this is maybe advice that you've heard throughout life, but really, it is the story of business, is no. And I can't tell you how many times I have been told no. The first time we've gone after every account that I can tell you that we had, it was no. I've had people that I've called up and they're like, no, we're not interested. And then I take the time, I put together marketing materials, and I actually personally drive to the place, and I deliver the product, and I'm like, I know you said no, but I want you to say yes. So here's this stuff. I just want you to try it. And then they'll call back, and they're like, I know I told you no, but I really like your stuff, and I actually want to have you here. And so that's really some incredible advice, is just, even though you hear no, no is really just the new yes, and eventually they'll say yes. And also, the other thing is oftentimes it's just timing. And obviously certain industries are different, but in the beauty industry, major retailers, they buy maybe 1 or 2 times a year. And so they're just telling you no because they're not shopping for those products. Or if you're in the grocery industry, they're not shopping to bring on a new soap, or they're not shopping to bring on a new tortilla chip. And so really it's just finding the right time for your product and reaching out to people to really find out what that is. And so this is kind of the same thing. You're going to hear no more than you'll hear yes. Perseverance is key. Be consistent, but don't be annoying. So being a business owner, the other side that you do see is you see a lot of people that want your business. So we have several people that email us continually about promotional items, about really anything under the sun. And so you get to see the opposite side of people pitching stuff to your business so that you use their services. And I say this, do not be annoying, because so many people send you like 5 or 6 emails a day, and it is annoying. And as a business owner or someone else, you don't have time to read 5 different emails and respond to them. So perseverance and consistency really is key, but there's a fine line between being annoying and then being like consistent. And so that is just some other advice. And if you own a company called Smart and you have emailed me 1,000 times, I'm looking at you. That's a real email address that I've had 1,000 times, and it's been horrible. But again, this is going back, the other point I made a little bit earlier. It's not about the money that you make, it's about the people that you help. And again, so many other entrepreneurs that I've met have made their entrepreneurship all about themselves. It's about the car that they drive, it's about the house that they live in, it's about the items that they have. And I think the more I've gotten into entrepreneurship, the more I realize that tangible items can disappear in a heartbeat, but it's the relationships that you have and the people that you are able to help that really are what's going to bring you forward. And so a lot of people think that owning a business is super luxury and super glamorous, and there are definitely times where I'm like, wow, that was really cool. But there's also majority of the time where it's not like that and I'm behind a computer the whole time. So I think that it's really important to remember why you do it, and the reason is to help people. So in the industry that we're in, it can be very superficial. It's a ton of people that are constantly thinking that they're ugly and they just think they're horrible, or they wear like a pound of makeup every single day. And that's okay if that's for you. But Holly and I's thing is that we want people to feel comfortable and we want people to feel confident. And so by being able to help people that are so embarrassed they don't leave the house, or people that are so embarrassed they have to feel like they have a ton of makeup on to feel confident. And so that's something that Holly and I have been able to help these people with, is having them have clear skin and seeing that they can be super confident. And you may be the type of person that's sitting here like, I don't care what my face is, I'll be confident. But you should know that there's a ton of people out there that are so super self-conscious about how they look. And so by making people confident, it's the sexiest that you can be. And so it's something that's really powerful, is when you get these emails from customers that tell you that you've really like turned their life around and you've given them a whole bunch of confidence. So I think that's really important. And if I have like one lesson for this whole thing, it's if you start a business, don't forget the others that help you, and don't be afraid to reach out and help others. I think in life you are only as good as the relationships that you have. And I think that if you can build those and make those stronger and also help build new ones, it's going to make you a stronger person. So That's one of my favorite quotes, Albert Einstein. He's a good guy. So my other one is bring your own fun. And my grandfather, actually, this is like his biggest thing. And before he passed away, like he lived this his entire life. No matter where you go, no matter what business meeting, no matter what event you're doing, no matter what trade show, I genuinely believe that you should always go through life bringing your own fun. I told you I tried to make this a little bit entertaining, and this guy was on ESPN, and if you haven't seen it, he's like my spirit animal. Anyway, but always have fun, and if you take life too seriously, your life is going to suck. You need to have a little bit of fun, and you need to like be yourself and kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit, because really, that's really where life begins. And be sure to have fun. If you're going into a business meeting and you're dreading it, find a way to make it fun. Find a way to break things up, take a break, bring your own fun. And then my fifth point is 99% of the time, owning and running a business is not glamorous. And really, it's like 100% of the time. And I think a lot of people, especially with like social media and stuff, you post photos and it looks super glamorous and like that photo looks super expensive and et cetera, but owning a business is not as glamorous as I think social media makes it look. Most of the time I'm behind my computer or on my cell phone, and it's like all day, every day I am sending emails and I'm calling people, or I'm making sales calls, or it's at the airport, and the airport can look really glamorous because you can be on a plane and you can pretend like you're jet setting off somewhere really great, but really you're just going to another room with fluorescent lighting, and that's what you're getting. So just remember that not everything is as glamorous, and also the reality is chances are you're on a budget, and you have to always be conscious of what money you have and how you're spending it, because chances are you're reinvesting it back into your company. And I also have to say that, unfortunately, I do not lay on the beach every day drinking cocktails, and really, I wish that I was, but I don't do that every day. And this is kind of the same thing. Running a business is a 24-hour job. I had several people email me on Christmas Day that were customers. You have people every single day calling you, texting you, customers, and you have to get back to them. There are no weekends. There are no holidays. But it's also really important to create like a work-life balance. And I feel like you can let it consume you every single day, all day, every day, but you need to kind of separate it and make time and all that. And the other point is chances are that you are making way less than your friends, colleagues, et cetera, at the beginning. And I think that's really important to kind of take the time to realize is you don't immediately start making several $1 million when you start a business. And so you'll see a ton of your like friends, colleagues that are the same age of you that you're going to school with, and they're started a really great job, and they bought like a brand new Mercedes, or they bought a brand new XYZ, or they bought a house. And yeah, that's really great, and that's what you want, and you just can't let that bring you down, and you just got to keep going. Okay. And so this is one that Holly and I feel so strongly about, is in business, when you are working with people, you will literally be promised the world and not the word. That's a typo. That's embarrassing. Anyway, you'll be promised the world. These people will tell you stuff all the time. You will literally be told constantly, oh, we'll do this, we'll give you this, and you'll get this article in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, and you'll have this huge article. And really, well, first off, I'll take a break. You guys can come sit down. You're totally fine. Back to what I was saying, though, is these people will promise you the world, and unfortunately, in the business world, people aren't as transparent or ethical as they should be. And so you'll be working with a ton of people, and they will literally promise you the world. They'll tell you that you'll have millions of dollars worth of sales. And my advice is just do your research, ask questions. And the new thing that Holly and I do is we don't give anyone business until they prove that they can help us. And because people will be like, it's $20,000 and we'll get you X, Y, Z. And the reality is they don't get you X, Y, Z. They just want your $20,000. And they'll be like, well, we tried. And unfortunately, that's not really how it works. So one of my biggest things is you should always underpromise and overdeliver. So back on that same point, you'll have people coming to you and they'll tell you, then they'll promise the world. But you also have to kind of take the time to realize on the other end, when you are working with a vendor, a retailer, or a client, and you promise something, you always have to deliver. And so one of my biggest mottos, and I'm sure it's been published in a zillion books, is underpromise, overdeliver. So if you promise someone something, you need to exceed it and then some. And simple, and you've probably heard it before, but really it's the way of business. And if you work with a vendor and you promise something and you can't meet it, they're gonna remember that. But if you promise something and underpromise and then you way, way, way go above and beyond, they'll remember that forever. And then ask question, lots of them. Again, this may seem kind of obvious, and it may be something that you may understand as running a business. You have to ask a lot of questions, but really, ask questions. There is no dumb question. And some people may know what you think you already know, but you need to ask the questions and ask them and ask them and ask them. And if you talk to someone else, ask the same questions. Make sure that you're getting the answers that you want, and that's in any relationship, whether it's with the vendor, whether it's with a wholesaler, or whoever you're working with. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Even if you think that it's a stupid question and they're going to judge you for it, ask the question. For instance, HiQ Cosmetics works with Costco.com, which is probably one of our biggest wholesalers, and they're an incredible company. They're a phenomenal company. You send them an email, and they will send you an email back immediately. And when we signed up with Costco, it's a huge vendor, and there's a lot of technicalities that they have that are specific with Costco. And we asked a ton of questions. And some of them, I'm pretty sure that they thought, wow, I can't believe they don't know that, or wow, that's that. But oftentimes when you ask the question, it triggers another set of dialogue that ends up being mutually beneficial to everyone. And so you'll get your answer, and then they'll be like, oh, I never thought about that. We can actually do this, which is going to help with your sales. And so don't be afraid to ask a question, and don't be afraid to ask for something. And sometimes you have to ask, hey, can you include us on a free email? Or, hey, do you mind putting us in your newsletter next month? Chances are they're going to say yes, because no one asks. And when you ask, you get the answer immediately. And this is also something that's important too, is get to know your vendors, get to know the people that you're working with. The guy that works with our glass bottles and the pump tops, like I call him and I talk on the phone with him for about 30 minutes and it has nothing to do with work. And I think that's really important because when you establish a relationship that's deeper than business, they're willing to help you further. And it's more than just, hey, I need to order 10,000 bottles, I need to order 10,000 pump tops, send me the invoice, we're good, I'll pay for it, move on. But if something goes wrong, who are they more likely to help? The person that's taken the time to get to know them, or the person that is ordering the same amount of quantity but has always just said, I'll order it? I think that's really good advice. Don't just be a name in an email. Get to know the people, they're human too, and I think that's really important. Also, social media. I think everyone kind of always talks about social media and how it's very important, and people consume their life with it and make it exactly what they need it to be. And at the beginning of our business, I would say that we spent a lot of time on social media because it's your image to the world, and it is very important. And when I say social media is important, but it's not everything, that's basically exactly what I mean. It is very important. You need to have a clean social media record, and also your personal Instagram needs to be clean. And I know a lot of you may have gone out on Friday and Saturday night and had like a really great weekend, but your vendors and retailers and people that you want to do business with do look at your personal social media page, and they look at your business page. So recently I was on the phone with a beauty editor she worked for Allure and then worked for Cosmopolitan and has moved on and worked at Vogue. And she was saying that social media is usually when you send a product to like a major publication, they're going to look at your social media page. It's going to be the first thing they look at, and if they like your social media page, they'll never look at it again, and then they'll try the product. And so it is really important to have a really strong social media presence, but it's not everything. And I think you can do really great on social media, and a lot of companies do really well with Instagram marketing, Facebook marketing. There's marketing for everything. But I think a lot of people get caught up on it. And this is our Instagram page. And I think on my next page, I will let you know that you guys should all follow us. It's at HiQ Cosmetics. We're on Instagram and Twitter. And this is what our social media page looks like. And then my next point is the importance of creativity. And this is something that I feel so passionate about. I'm a huge advocate of the arts. I go to every single play, theater, ballet, opera. I'm a big believer in it. And I come from a chemistry background, and so many people in chemistry or in other majors knock other majors, and they're like, oh, I'd die to be this major, I'd die to do this major. And the reality is, all of them are equally important. And I know I've heard 1,000 times, oh, I wish I was an art major, I'd just have to paint. And I think that people kind of just look at it as the arts are just something that people do for fun. But in the industry that I'm in, art is everything, creativity is everything, and in business, creativity and innovation is everything. In the skincare industry, there are thousands upon thousands of companies, and you're competing with every single one of them to get in the next retailer, in the next vendor, in the next wholesaler. And so you have to be creative. You have to think outside the box. You have to be innovative. There's a zillion social media pages out there too, and you have to think outside the box of how you're going to be different than all the other people out there. And so I really want to just stress this to everyone. Creativity is everything, and it is so important in the business world. So I guess I will kind of wrap up from there. But the last thing I want to say is I'm a huge believer in transparency, and I'm really big on being a very transparent company in every single aspect, and Holly is too. And so I wanted to take the time, if you ever have any questions or if I can be of any help, this is my personal email address for my company, and seriously email me. It's Patrick@HiQ Cosmetics, and I'm more than happy to help you or answer any questions or be of any help. And I know that I was supposed to allow time. I have no how long I've been up here, but does anyone have any questions? Yes.
So when you talk about transparency, are you talking about transparency to everyone within the company and all the other places you touch?
So his question, if you couldn't hear it, was about transparency within the company or anyone that I can touch. And when I say transparency, I mean transparency with everyone. I think within the company, you need to be very transparent. I think like Holly and I, we're always on the phone. We talk about everything, even from minute to big. I think it's really important to make sure everyone is on the same page, and I think that is so important. But also, I think it is very important to be transparent with your customer base, with your vendors, and I think just the more honest and transparent you are, and you kind of lay everything out there, the better you are as a company in the long run. You're not hiding anything, and there's nothing out there that people will find out later that'll change their opinion about the company. And so that's really what I mean by transparency. Yes?
How did you fund your company from a startup perspective, and how are you going to continue to fund it going forward?
So the company is funded. We don't have any investors. It's all Holly and I. And funding moving forward, it's all from the profits that the company makes, and that's how we continue to move forward. Yes.
Finally, I get a microphone. Okay. What one thing do you wish you had known when you started on the process, something that these people who are considering becoming entrepreneurs, what was your biggest surprise or the thing that you now look back on and say, yeah, I should have known that?
I think the one thing that I wish I would have known would be I had a vision that people were all very good. And I chose to live in a world where I thought people were honest and genuine. And I know this is kind of a dark path to take, but it goes back to the people will promise you the world and then not deliver. And unfortunately, we worked with a marketing company that just didn't do anything and wanted us to pay a ton. And that would probably be my biggest regret and my biggest thing I would change is I would just be I'd be smarter with how I started things and the fact of establishing the relationship. But I think in any business, you'll be burned at some point in time. Unfortunately, it's just the nature of business. But I've become very good at vetting people. And that would probably, Holly and I are like king and queen of vetting. Other questions? Yeah.
Would you agree that having knowledge and understanding about, like as far as getting, say, quote unquote, burned,
Yeah.
if maybe you focused on, gaining knowledge in certain fields, and have you learned that about yourself? Like you have to get in and learn certain things before you have conversations with vendors and so on and so forth?
For sure. So I think in business, education is everything. I think really in life, education is everything. And I think the more you know going into anything will make you a better person. So I think the more you take the time to research, to understand, and really take the time to dive into a subject, it's going to make you better apt to make better decisions. So I hope that answered your question. But
Yeah, I was just trying to.
yeah, I think that would definitely be very helpful. Yes?
What was the actual trigger that made you think of developing the first product?
For sure. So Holly and I were doing undergrad research at the time, and Holly in graduate school worked on elastin and collagen peptides. And at the same time, I was at the CDC. And really, the idea sparked when Holly was in graduate school. She was joking around with her advisor, like, one day we'll put this in skincare. And that's kind of where the idea started. And then at the CDC, I learned more about ingredients and what's found in ingredients, and it's kind of like the perfect storm, so to speak. Yes?
What is the biggest challenge you're facing today?
Biggest challenge we're facing today? Oh, that's a good question. Again, I think one of the biggest challenges is just making the decision of where to go next, if so to speak. Like, oftentimes you have 5 different doors to take, and it's deciding which one is going to put you in the best place further on down the road and not immediately. And so oftentimes you have opportunities come up where you would make a considerable amount of money, but at the same time, it's going to tarnish your company. And so I think just the biggest challenge is just navigating where to go next, and also just ramping up sales is always important, and also education is really kind of a hinder because there's so many products out there. I think it is an educational component that goes into our product of why people need to spend more money and educating. But once people are educated about the product, I think it moves, they understand. So, oh, in the very back.
I was just wondering how many people work in your company? Like not suppliers or anything like that? Like is it just you and the doctor or is it?
Yes, so we run an incredibly tight ship, and it's Holly and I, and then we have someone that sends out our packages for us. So, and luckily, the way we set up our company is we don't need a tremendous amount of employees, so it's kind of a benefit. This last question, I think we have to go.
So how did you, of all the niches you picked, how did you pick the high-end market? I mean, why did you go after Four Seasons?
For sure.
Why would they, you two guys don't have any real background in it. Why would they think you would be a good bet?
Sure, that's a great question. The reason that we went after the high-end market is actually Ernst & Young does a huge thing on luxury market, and in the luxury market remains really consistent with the economy, whereas the cheaper, more affordable ones fluctuate with the economy. So that's one reason we decided to go with luxury, but also just the nature of the product and the formulation that we created is just more expensive to produce, and so the cost of manufacturing also dictates which market we went into, and it was just a great fit for our product. Good? Good. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Let's give my
Thank you so much.